Hey everyone! Today we're going to make Chinese radish cake or lo bak go. This savory cake is a popular dim sum dish that's fried on the outside until crispy with an irresistibly soft and chewy center. To start, we need some dried shiitake mushrooms. These mushrooms have a much stronger flavor compared to fresh shiitake mushrooms, and it will give the radish cake a really nice umami flavor. For this recipe, we need 8 mushrooms. Place them in a bowl and cover with hot water. Push them into the water to encourage absorption, and then we're going to leave it aside for about 20 minutes or more. Radish cake usually has lapjong or Chinese sausage in it. To replace it in this vegan version, I'm going to use my favorite mince substitute, tofu crumbles. I usually have a stock of tofu crumbles in the freezer, but let me show you how to bake it today. Get a lined baking tray and let's crumble 300 grams of firm tofu onto it. Then we're going to sprinkle in some salt to taste and about 1 tablespoon of neutral tasting vegetable oil. Massage into the tofu while breaking them up into smaller pieces at the same time. Spread them out across the tray and we can bake it in the preheated oven at 180 degrees Celsius or 356 degrees Fahrenheit for 20 minutes. Once it's cooled down, the tofu will dry out into a golden spider web like this with crunchy bits. Break it up into crumbles. The dehydrated tofu has a meatier texture, and in a dish like this, it gives the same bite as mincemeat. But if you don't like tofu, feel free to substitute it with any vegan mince or tempeh crumbles or even TBP. Moving on to the aromatics. We need 2 red onions. Cut in half, then slice and dice roughly. We're going to do the same with 4 cloves of garlic. Next, we're also going to need a small bunch of spring onions or scallions. Chop off the root end and then chop finely. Now the star of the show, Chinese white radish or daikon. We need 1 kilo of this. To prep, peel the skin away to reveal the white flesh underneath. I like to leave the top on to protect my fingers when grating later. Before we do that, let's chop off the hard bit at the end of the radish. And now we can get a box grater and start grating. Alternatively, you could use a food processor with an attachment for shredding veggies. They'll make the process much faster. So the mushrooms have been soaking for a while now and they're well hydrated. Let's squeeze all the water out from them but don't discard it. It's full of flavor and we don't want to waste it. Before we slice the mushrooms, cut off the hard stem at the end. Then slice it to thin strips and chop into small cubes. And that's all the chopping we have to do, so let's get cooking. Add 1 to 2 tablespoons of neutral vegetable oil in a large pot. Place the diced red onions in and saute until they start to glisten and sweat. Next, we can add the garlic and saute that for about 30 seconds. Then we can toss in the meaty mushrooms and tofu crumbles. Fry them for a minute until they smell toasty and turn slightly brown. Add the spring onions and season with a generous pinch of salt. Right after, we can add in the grated radish. It sure looks like a lot, but like most vegetables, they'll shrink as they cook. Now if your radish starts leaking water, that's completely fine. We want to cook it down until it's mostly cooked and has turned somewhat translucent. It'll take about 12 to 15 minutes. Because they're so thinly shredded, they really don't take that long to cook. To season, we're going to sprinkle in 1.5 teaspoons of freshly ground white pepper and 1 vegetable stock cube. Taste the mix as you cook, and if you feel like it needs a bit more salt, add more according to your taste. Lastly, we're going to stir in 1.5 tablespoons of vegetarian oyster sauce for extra umami. While it's cooking, let's prepare a quick batter. Into a bowl, add 200 grams of plain rice flour, not glutinous rice flour. Pour in the mushroom stock we saved earlier and some water. In total, that's 375 ml of liquid. Whisk until the rice flour has completely dissolved, then we can pour the entire thing into the pot. Within a minute or 2, the mix will thicken as you stir it in and become a sort of lumpy paste. Here, we can turn off the heat and prepare a heat-proof baking pan or casserole dish. I'm going to use this 8x10-inch casserole dish, but you can also use a round cake pan or any other heat-proof container that you have. Let's grease it generously to prevent any sticking later. Spoon the mix into the dish. With the back of a spatula, press it down to compress and flatten, making sure to keep it even across the top. Place the dish into a steamer. I'm using an electric steamer, but a bamboo steamer or a wok with a lid will work just the same. We're going to steam the cake for 45 minutes. After 45 minutes, we can retrieve the cake from the steamer. Be extra careful when doing this. The steam collects in the lid and we don't want boiling water dripping on our hands. Now this is the hardest part. Before we move on to the next step, the cake needs to cool for a few hours inside the fridge. So of course I already have one that's been chilling in the fridge overnight, but before I show it to you, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more recipes just like this one. Now let's go get the cake. It's super firm now, just how we want it. Using a butter knife or an offset spatula, run it around the edges to help release the cake from the dish. Flip it over onto a chopping board. Using a sharp, clean knife, cut the cake into wide strips and then into rectangles or squares, any shape that you like. You can eat the cake just like this and it'll be nice and soft. But of course, we're going to take it all the way and fry it. Heat a non-stick or cast iron pan on the stove and pour in 1 tablespoon of oil. Swirl to coat the entire pan. Then retrieve the cake squares and arrange on the pan one by one. Fry on medium-low heat until the bottom is golden brown and crispy. Then flip them all to the other side and do the same. Cooking the radish cake this way gives it a nice and crunchy outer skin. So you get that crisp when you bite into it and then the inside is nice and soft. Make sure to serve it hot with some chili oil. Watch this video next if you want to see another irresistible recipe, and I'll see you over there. Thanks for watching.